Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special meeting of Finance and Corporate Services Committee, where we will be taking input from the public regarding our budget. There are 5 delegations. There's a private citizen, there's a member from the Downtown BIA, the Waterloo Region Economic Development Corporation, Communitech, and a representative for two representatives for the Waterloo Region Immigration Partnership Council. So I'd ask at this time if there's any disclosures of pecuniary interest. I'm not seeing any. Just a reminder to those that are delegating, you do have 5 minutes to make your presentation, which may be followed by questions of council or committee. Don't be offended if there aren't any. And just a general reminder to obviously to be respectful in your comments of council and public at large. So we will get right into it. The first delegation is Ian McLean on behalf of the Waterloo Region Immigration Partnership Council. And I do understand Ms. Tara Bedard is available virtually to answer questions afterwards. Mr. McLean, welcome.
Well, thank you, Chair, and the Mayor and Council, senior staff. I came down here to skate, but since the skating was up there, I decided I'd come and talk about the immigration partnership. I am Ian McLean. I'm joined by colleagues from the Immigration Partnership, including partners from the United Way, the House of Friendship, and the business community. We're here to share the work of the Immigration Partnership, introduce our new regional immigration strategy, and talk about investment in this shared work. The immigration in Kitchener and Waterloo region is shaping the future of the region. According to the last census, more than 1 in 4 residents in Waterloo region are immigrants, and many are temporary residents. Here in Kitchener, immigrants make up almost 30% of the population. Those numbers have grown quickly, and the immigration is now the biggest driver of our population and labor force growth, helping the region, or as we go towards almost 1 million people in the coming decades. The Immigration Partnership has been operating for 16 years. It builds on earlier work through the Waterloo Region Immigrant Employment Network, which help businesses meet their talent needs through immigration. We're a small but mighty team, just 4.5 FTEs, coordinating with 70 organizations and 120 community leaders across sectors from social and settlement services, education, health, business, and government. Here in Kitchener, we work closely with city staff, the business community organizations like the KW Multicultural Center, YMCA Immigrant Services, Reception House, the Rohingya Center of Canada and Muslim Social Services, and many more. Today, together we support more than 10,000 newcomers each year as they settle in our region, people who need housing, healthcare, employment, and a sense of belonging together with others. So just some highlights of our recent work. We created the Workplace Immigrant Network, which has helped over 850 newcomers, including many here in Kitchener, find work or access to training. We coordinated services and helped secure over $2 million in funding for local programming during major refugee arrivals from the Syrian refugees to Ukraine. We lead community initiatives like Welcoming Week, the Waterloo Region Migration Film Festival, and have supported multicultural connections events which strengthen community welcoming and belonging. And we gather and share detailed data to help local organizations and governments plan effectively for our growing newcomer population. Our new strategy is grounded in the input of nearly 1,700 immigrants and partner organizations, and aligns closely with the city's strategic plan and its forthcoming municipal newcomer strategy. The strategy focuses on three things: helping local services meet the needs of our changing population, giving employers the tools to tap into immigrant talent, and ensuring our communities are welcoming and inclusive. So our request to the City of Kitchener is that this work is socially and economically vital now and will continue to be so. It is a shared responsibility across community, business, government, and all of our regional communities. For 16 years, the backbone and community programming have been supported by the Region of Waterloo, the United Way Waterloo Region communities, and federal and provincial governments. Local partners, organizations also contribute their staff and their other resources each year. Unfortunately, we face right now a current annual funding gap of $230,000. The federal government cut those dollars to us not too long ago. And so now we're seeking funding to replace that so we can continue the work that's so essential for our community. We're pleased that we've recently received $50,000 in new support from the Waterloo Region Community Foundation over the next 2 years. And so today we're here to ask the City of Kitchener two things. One is endorse the Immigration Partnership's 2025 Regional Immigration Strategy and align with its goals, which I think is something that you're already working on, and to invest $25,000, hopefully annually, in this collaborative work that supports newcomers, employers, and our regional community as a whole. So we're making similar requests of all area municipalities, the region as well. And then we'll seek business investments leveraging the funds that we get from local government from the private sector. I'll stop there unless I can quickly say that we
You have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, so part of what we will do is leverage the dollars that we get from municipalities, much like we do with the Chamber does with funding we get for the physician recruitment program, to take those dollars, try and fill the rest of the gap so that we can continue the work that is so essential for the community. So I'll leave it there. I'm happy to answer any questions and appreciate your attention tonight.
Thank you for your presentation. Question, Mayor Benovich.
Thanks very much, Chair Davey, and thanks, Ian, for coming in. I have a question for you and then questions of staff at the appropriate time. Thanks for the presentation and thanks for bringing all the partners together. And I know the Immigration Partnership's been doing important work in our community for some time. Have you had an opportunity to discuss this at all with our staff yet, particularly in regards to how it may link up with the newcomer strategy, which we're currently working on as a city?
I would say not. I mean, I personally haven't. I think this was kind of an emergent issue where the funding was cut, and we've been pulling our, have we? Oh, Tara Bedard has had some conversations with staff at the staff level. I think for the partnership and the working pillar and the board itself, we've been focused on sort of making the budget request during budget session. But I know Tara has, which I should have known that. Tara is way ahead of most of us, so I believe he's had conversations with staff.
Okay, do we have a sense of sort of why the change in funding from the federal government, or what's sort of transpired here?
Well,
Recent numbers are slated to go down for the next while.
Well, they are, and I'll come back to that. But I think what has happened is we were always a leader in this region for how we deal with immigrants. So we've done some things that didn't fit in what other partnerships across the country were able to do and funded to do. And I think it was in the last 6 months or so, they brought the funding down to, instead of up to, the level that we were getting for the benefit of the additional things that we're able to accomplish here in Waterloo Region, and they've reduced our funding down to what I guess they would say is the same as everyone else. And so that's unfortunate because, as you can imagine, we often lead here in Waterloo Region with the work that we do on these types of emerging issues. And so we're in the position of having to figure out how we backfill that, again, in partnership with business as well as municipalities. I would say one of the issues that I think we're going to face here is, while the macro numbers are, there's going to be less immigration, maybe countrywide or across the province, we still know we're still going to be one of the top places, if not top place across the country for immigrants. So I don't think any of us expect there to be less than 10,000 newcomers coming this year, even though the top line number might be less across the province or across the country.
Okay, and the second question I have, before I ask questions of staff later, as I said, we're in the midst of doing a newcomer strategy and working very carefully to try to make sure that sort of the lanes we're operating in are sort of not duplicating work that's being done either by the Immigration Partnership or others. But we know there's pieces that need to be done, and particularly some that are Kitchener specific. If this was sort of referred to that work, body of work coming back, which I think staff will mention this later, but I think is coming back first quarter-ish or so. would it sort of work for you folks if we were able to give you some answers at that time?
Yeah, I think again, we've presented to every council. This is the last council we presented to over the last, it gives me PTSD to go, no, I'm just kidding. But we have presented to all, yeah, exactly. So we'll see where we get to through the budget process with the region and the other municipalities. And so, I mean, we're looking for longer term partnerships, because this is, well, it's 1 year, but hopefully we're creating a new model that will work for this community. I would say the other part, that notwithstanding what happens, we've already had discussions and we'll continue to have discussions with the federal government, with our local MPPs, of saying this should not be the responsibility, certainly solely, of the municipalities. But we're in the position we're in, which is this is shared work. The net result is that there are going to be newcomers in this community, and the question is, are we going to be able to help them settle, have a sense of belonging, and find meaningful work, because they're going to be here. And so we're going to share that story with the federal and provincial government as well, where a lot of this responsibility lays.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I do not see anyone else with any questions. Thank you, Mr. McLean, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we typically don't ask questions of staff during public inputs. I would ask, I understand the reason why, but mostly for clarification, be brief. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Just, very quickly to Mr. Chapman. In light of the request, wondering if you could just give council a quick insight into where we're at with the newcomer strategy, and would it make sense to refer this to be considered as part of that process?
Mr. Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, Chair. Being aware of this request, I had a chance today to connect with Ms. Meese, who is the project manager for the newcomer strategy. And what she's advised is that based on the outreach that has been done, they do see where there is overlap in a good way between the themes that have emerged and the work of the Immigration Partnership. And so, as you've noted, it's her plan to come back to council, I believe, in February with a draft strategy. And part of that strategy will look at opportunities to partner with umbrella organizations like the Partnership and grassroots organizations to advance the work. And so certainly, if it was council's direction, we could refer this matter to that strategy discussion and consider at that point in time how to align funding with objectives of the strategy, and council can make a decision being fully informed by that work.
Yep.
Sorry, thanks, Chair Davey. I know we normally wouldn't refer, but this is kind of a new process we're still working through. I think in this particular instance, if staff can take it away, as Mr. Chapman has indicated, that would probably make the most sense, and it could be considered then at that time.
Yeah, certainly. So, yes, there's no motion being taken, but just informal for staff. Perfect. All right. Okay. No other questions or comments on that. We move on to the next delegate, Matthew Clausen from Communitech. Welcome.
All right, great. Good evening, Mayor Verbenovich, Chair Davey, members of council. My name is Matthew Clausen. I'm the Vice President of External Relations for Communitech. Well, I think it's certainly well known in this council chamber. Communitech is a local innovation hub founded in 1997 by a group of local tech leaders with the same vision that we hold today and that I know is shared around this horseshoe, to make our community a globally competitive tech ecosystem anchored by homegrown companies that start here, scale here, and stay here. I want to thank council and staff for your longstanding commitment to this vision over the years. I'm here today to speak in support of the Pitch Kitchener initiative, both as a specific, tangible program, but also as a cultural blueprint for municipalities and, in fact, the broader public sector. As a reminder, the first iteration of Pitch Kitchener launched this past year, concluding in the city's partnerships with 3 local companies, Cone Labs, Real Life Robotics, and Tex Genetic AI. The breadth among the 3 companies really speaks to the breadth of municipal services. Cone Labs is using artificial intelligence to improve the inspection process for critical infrastructure like bridges. Real Life Robotics is using their platform to expand the solution set for autonomous robots, and Tex Genetic AI is using artificial intelligence to revolutionize fleet maintenance. What I find compelling about the Pitch Kitchener process is that the companies were able to parlay their partnerships with the city into additional opportunities. In some cases, it gave them important cash flow, to build their business and customer validation. In other cases, other public sector customers felt that the city's previous relationship with the company de-risked and validated their own buying process. In this way, Pitch Kitchener very much meets the current moment. Whether it's recent policies around Buy Canadian or Buy Ontario announcements by the federal and provincial governments, or the need to support homegrown companies in the face of US tariffs and big tech. I would challenge all of us who aim to support local tech founders and their teams to see initiatives like Pitch Kitchener as a floor, not a ceiling. Put differently, to not see Pitch Kitchener as an exception, but as a replicable model that should be copied and should infuse our approach to procurement across the public sector. To use some tech speak, this involves us 10xing our ambition, our creativity, and our speed. The more the broader public sector can strive to be the first and best customer for our local technology companies, the better. A more productive and more sovereign Canada cannot be built without strong homegrown tech companies that start, scale, and stay here. Once again, please consider us supportive of this initiative and any initiative that supports local. Thank you for your time and your continued partnership, and I'd be happy to answer any questions now or offline.
Thanks so much. There are a couple questions beginning with Councillor Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew, for I guess Communitech outlining the support for Connect Kitchener, or Pitch Kitchener. Is there a way for us to leverage on what City of Kitchener is able to do as kind of seed funding, same as the City of Kitchener was able to do, decades past for founding of Communitech, where we can take on other sponsors as well, where there are mature companies that have scaled through Communitech and looking for a way to perhaps nurture and support new startups, so that it's a bit of a partnership that builds upon what City of Kitchener is doing already.
Yeah, just so I understand through the chair, Councillor, you're talking about existing kind of larger startups and scale-ups, either procuring from other smaller startups or just, I mean, I would say we already have them and aspire to have them be kind of strong mentors in the community. If we're looking at, local scale-ups buying from local startups, I think certainly we would hope that we're always facilitating connections so that can happen. But if you've got kind of specific things in mind, I mean, happy to talk about that.
Obviously you have the incubation within Communitech already, companies that have scaled up already.
Yep.
Of course, you have those ongoing dialogues, and they know exactly what's happening within the incubation, right? But the outside, I guess the whole ecosystem of manufacturing businesses, advanced manufacturing, that may not be as well versed as to what's happening in Communitech, kind of bringing them in along with the municipal sector, so it's a broader pitching cycle as opposed to just focusing on the municipal sector alone.
Yeah, absolutely, and happy to extend a bit of an update on what we're doing and what we're thinking around that. I know certainly with the prevalence of AI and our companies both adopting and commercializing AI, we're really thinking about ways we can leverage some of the strong collaborations here between tech, public sector, as well as kind of the traditional economy. And I know our partners at Waterloo EDC and the KW Chamber are in the room too, and so I think there's some low-hanging fruit there that we're already in design on, but hopefully it should yield some benefits soon.
Low-hanging fruit, so I just
Yeah.
encourage that we leverage and all that. Look, just like a lot of great things, Kitchener tends to lead first, and this is one of those things in helping our local startup culture. But that shouldn't discourage, through Communitech, even ourselves, to have invitation of local municipal partners, City of Cambridge, Waterloo Townships, the region. You have your relationships there too, so that over time this can build upon just outside of Kitchener as well, and regionally that we keep on kind of supporting this. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hernandez.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Davey, and thanks, Matthew, for coming in. I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask is, you'd mentioned that no other organizations are doing this kind of like municipalities that are having this type of system in place.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that no other municipality is doing this type of work. I would say it's probably fair to say that Kitchener is a leading municipality in this type of work. I think as well, and we're cognizant of this ourselves, despite being in tech, that we can always do more to adopt local homegrown tech. And I think as a country, we're all coming to the realization that whatever we've been doing is great, but our ambition needs to match this current moment.
Okay. I guess my other question would be with regards to, do you see a market? Is it more of a niche with regards to marrying tech with the city in particular?
I don't think it's niche. I mean, I might defer to staff on the opportunities that they see, but I think certainly we see a growing number of companies actually that have, I think with the advent of AI, a number of opportunities to improve service delivery, make our time as individuals in the workplace more efficient. There's lots of opportunities there, and I think there's a growing number of companies in this region. I don't know how much of that is because of partnerships with the city, with local hospitals, with other orders of government, but there seems to be a growing number of companies that are thinking about, I think, the combination of Canadian values and AI, and what that means for the public sector.
Okay, and then my final question would be, using this pitch process, is it a way of creating a proven concept for these tech companies? And proven concept with their product?
Yeah, I think if I understand the question, like part of being the first customer or a customer is not just the cash, it's also the validation that you provide. And so I think in the case of the 3 companies that you've partnered with in the past year, at least what they've told us is they certainly value the cash flow. Let's not lose sight of the importance of that. But they've also appreciated the feedback they've got from city staff and making sure that they are actually developing a solution for a problem that exists out there, rather than just saying, I have a technology, here it is, surely you can use it somehow. So.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I guess if I had some comments to make.
Not really supposed to make comments, but it's because it's brief, like Councillor saying sort of things.
I love the program, and I think the direction that we should be taking is to further explore this and work with our staff and leverage what we can to build this ecosystem, because I personally think it's a great way to move our community forward with technology that's local. I think it's perfect. I think it's a great system, and if we can do it here, and make it a Kitchener model and somewhat leverage that for other municipalities, I think it's a great opportunity.
Thank you, Mayor Rabenevich.
Thanks very much, and thanks for coming in. Just wondering if you can comment briefly, and I mean, I'm obviously supportive of this initiative as well, but just with the recent provincial announcement around procurement in Ontario, and this whole piece around procurement has been something that's been talked about federally and provincially going back to 2015, and everybody's been trying to figure out a pathway to get there. And I think last year's initial program was sort of our first shot at it. I'm wondering if you could just link some of these pieces together for us, and why particularly may be important in terms of where the feds and the province are going.
Yeah, I think there's, we have all been talking about this for a long time. I think the federal policy certainly appreciate and understand the intent. I think what we'd like about programs like Pitch Kitchener, or I know talked with you and your team in the past about programs like the SBA and SBIR in the United States. I think what we like about them is the target, not just on Canadian firms, however you define that broadly. I think we've seen where governments have challenges identifying what is Canadian, what isn't Canadian, but the focus on homegrown, high potential tech companies, I think is really, really important, particularly in this region, in this community. I think one of our concerns with some of the legislation, I would say more historically than I haven't had a chance to go extensively through the province's new bill, but some of our challenges in the past is they often recognize goods and don't as much recognize services, and increasingly, with this being a very digital ecosystem, software and now AI. And so I think focusing on how do you identify solutions and problems within the public service or within your business unit that need a tech solution, I think that's really, really important because oftentimes we'll see people say, you know, we want to adopt more Canadian tech, and then they aren't prepared to either allocate the budget or mandate that it, you know, happens in a particular area. And so what was great about Pitch Kitchener in its first iteration was staff identified, I think, a number of problems and challenges within city services that our companies were able to meet. And I guess just one note on the previous councillor's comment. I mean, like, Communitech's happy to support this initiative and has been happy to partner with this initiative. But this is, I don't think, an initiative that we came up with in the first instance. This was very much built within the city, and we're just happy to partner and support that.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. No further questions, Mr. Clausen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Presentation. It's, yeah, when you talk about something that hits on what Kitchener, AI and technology, startups, local procurement, and all three of those things focused on solving municipal problems, that's an awesome intersection. So hopefully we can find a way to continue with that. Okay, our next delegate from the Waterloo Economic Development Corporation, Waterloo Region Economic Development Corporation, Tony Lamantia. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. Nice to be here. So through Chair Davey, I'm here to essentially express my support for the City of Kitchener's business retention and expansion program. It's what I call table stakes for economic development firms. You know, 80% of our expansions over the last 10 years have come from local companies, and we're in a period where anchoring our base is critically important. You know, so we're really focused on a couple of things as part of the partnership. The first is to make sure that whenever there's change in local leadership, we stay engaged with the new leadership. So a good example would be, especially as it relates to, you know, keeping a keen eye on the downtown vacancy rate. About 3 years ago, we landed a company called EPAM Systems, 305 King. Their local lead about a month ago went off to start a new job. Some of you might know Mark Sampson, remember him. So there's a new individual now also named Mark, which makes it easy that we are engaging with to drive forward conversations about how they can expand. I mentioned them because there was an instant impact when you add, it was hybrid, but about 300 people downtown. You could see the traffic, even at La Cucina, one of my favorite spots across the street. So these companies become really important, and we're going to be working in partnership. I don't need the 5 minutes with the City of Kitchener ECDev staff, but as we kick around ideas to bring it to life, a couple that I'm just going to throw out there for consideration, we'll come back to it, is organizing Kitchener-specific roundtables and networking events with the leadership of local subsidiaries of international companies. So let's say Europe-based companies, US-based companies. We have lots of examples of those, and not just those that are in manufacturing, because many of those won't be in the downtown core. Also looking at a pilot program where we could support tech companies that are currently in co-working spaces, helping them to graduate to existing office spaces in Kitchener on flexible terms. This can help us build a pipeline of companies to grow, and that would have to be in partnership with commercial landlords. But it's an idea that we've got to knock around a bit, but worth having a look at. And then the last piece is continuing to work with FedDev Ontario and the province, not just on the trade-impacted companies, but those that have a specific downtown focus and even a broader Waterloo region focus. So that's essentially, you know, what we're planning to do to bring this to life. Really important because you know, you have to anchor the base in order to grow, and I think that's the key part of our partnership going forward. So thank you, and if you have any questions, by all means.
Thank you. Do a couple, beginning with Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll try to be quick. Thank you for the great work you guys are doing and representing Kitchener, I guess, nationally. Showcasing, you know, all that I think our local economy has to offer. With the province's commitment with two-way goal, with, you know, ongoing progress around the 40-kilometer stretch for dedicated line that will enable all-day two-way goal. How are we getting ourselves ready, especially speaking to the downtown vacancy rate, especially downtown Kitchener, we're struggling right now, but I think we have a lot of momentum and opportunities with the GO Station, the primary hub being in our downtown Victoria Street. How can we leverage going forward, and what can we do working with you?
You know, I think the stats have been clear, whether you're talking about, you know, the immigration partnership, some of the things the Communitech is doing. Over the last 10 years, I think 7 out of the last 10 years, the Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo census metropolitan area has been either the fastest growing in the country or number 2. I think in one case it was number 3. So that is stunning growth. Most of it is net migration from the GTA. I think the province understands this, so it really comes down to execution, continuing advocacy together with council members, with Mayor Verbanovic and other members of you know, the Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo CMA and the region to make sure that they understand this is of not just provincial importance, but when you look at the kind of what's happening nationally, it's of national importance. So that's a key piece, and that net migration into the region is likely to continue, but we want to promote it, and that will fundamentally help job creation. It'll help with the downtown vacancy rate. Like, we understand the reasons why we're in this situation. It's because there was a big buildup, lots of expansion, then the pandemic happened, and we still haven't recovered from that. Just in absolute terms, but also based on the hybrid work situation, which is still unfolding, right? So bottom line is we have to continue to advocate, but hold people accountable for execution.
Okay, I like that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next is Mayor Benich.
Thanks, Chair Davey, and thanks, Tony, for coming in tonight. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that this year marks the 10th anniversary since Waterloo Region Economic Development Corporation was formed, and you shortly afterwards came on board and started out, and also to acknowledge the fact that you were planning to retire this year. Offered up to stay an extra year in light of everything that's happening with our friends south of the border and helping us navigate through that. So I did want to acknowledge both of those things to council. What I wanted to just briefly touch on, since you're here, is, you know, we're seeing, I would say, 2 fundamental changes in terms of some of what we've been doing in the past from an economic development point of view. And I would say they're not changes as much as they're additions to that work. One is really an increased focus on internationalization as we work to pivot from a reliance primarily on the Americans and looking to see increased trade ties that, you know, I think we've seen over the last little while. We were just chatting about that at dinner, how we're seeing the federal government
Absolutely.
You know, looking at developing new trade agreements with other countries and so on. And then secondly, the growing role that defense plays in all of this. And as you know, we already have some defense companies locally. We have technology companies, and tech plays a big role in defense in the 21st century. And so I'm wondering if you can just talk about the opportunities that exist on both of those fronts, and you know, how over the next little while we can pivot, or maybe already have to respond.
Yeah, great question. Very timely. I think the region is and the city in particular are well prepared to take advantage of the current dynamic. The convergence of trade diversification efforts, new trade deals that are being kind of worked on as we speak, hard deals that have been nailed down. The defense, the $1 billion defense contract between Germany and Canada is notable. The kind of conversations going on with India, Brazil, other countries, even the F-35 versus Saab Gripen conversation indicates that the world is changing very quickly, and a community that has a globally significant tech cluster, state-of-the-art manufacturing firms, and highly skilled talent is well poised to take advantage of that. I can say that in our pipeline of qualified opportunities, I've got 4 defense. These would be kind of greenfield defense opportunities. Don't have a location yet. And so as we kind of move these opportunities along, I think, the fact that they're in our pipeline is a testimony that the region has what it takes. Now, we have to obviously get them here and close them, but, it's part of the pivot, and I think a lot of organizations like mine are actually starting to look at opportunities for defense and proactively going to the headquarters of other countries. So yeah, trade diversification, and Europe has become critically important for us going forward. So I think it's a lot to build on. We have natural strengths with German companies, with some French companies in the region, and so it's an exciting position for the city and the region to be in. But it's going to take work and it's going to take time.
So I guess speaking to that, my second and last question, that would be, recognizing that these changes are happening, there's opportunities that are happening, and also recognizing that as a city, historically have not been the ones to sort of sit back and wait for you to call, but to help, drive some of this direction going forward. What are the things that you think collectively, either as a region or we as a city, need to be doing more of to help capitalize on this stuff?
Yeah, I think there's nothing kind of fundamentally new, but it is kind of a deliberate effort to identify those companies that would be a great fit for us nationally, provincially, and more importantly, regionally and in the city. And we've done that work. We've done some supply chain studies. And so we're actually kind of getting ready to get out there and bring these companies here. And so I expect it to be a very active 2026 on that front. We're doing Hanover again, a couple of defense events, and there's an opportunity for us, as we talked about, hosting local networking sessions for subsidiaries of European countries. We can do sessions like that on defense. We can do sessions like that on AI adoption and enabling technology. So those are some of the things we could do.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. And last question, Councilor.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Davey, and thanks, Tony, for coming in. I remember you were just a little baby when you first came here 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'm now 230 pounds. Who figured, right? Like, geez.
But on a serious note, I do appreciate everything that Red Sea does for the community and stuff. And I guess my question would be somewhere along the lines with Councillor Singh. And I'm just wondering if we are being intentional in driving business towards locating in the downtown. Are we talking with the BIA? Are we talking with our staff? Are we talking with Communitech? Are we talking with the chamber? Are we all working, collaborating together to make sure that we have some form? And it's no fault to the work that's done. I think the pandemic has been a big setback for us. But I feel like we need to be a lot more intentional. And I'm just wondering if those discussions are happening.
Yeah, the discussions are definitely happening. Like I meet with the Kitchener team at least once a month, and the effort. So I also think that things are better than they seem as far as the vibrancy of the downtown core. I see a lot of young families here. I see a lot of children. Some of the things that I didn't see in 2015 or 16, okay? And I think one point of clarity really matters, and that is that we respect the lead horse. So on business retention and expansion, the lead horse is the City of Kitchener. So we make sure that even with subsidiaries of multinationals, we want to drive sort of consideration for expansion downtown. We wouldn't do that in isolation from, Corey or Andrew or any of the team members. So there's definite conversations. It helps that we're proximal. We'll bump into each other often, and it's a key part of our regular conversation. What can we do? And that's part of the message I wanted to convey tonight in support is that, I read the issue paper. There's some general stuff about how we can drive expansion into downtown core. And that's because it's core business. So we've got to come up with some new ideas, for sure. And that's part of what the commitment is. We're going to kick around some new ideas, and then, hopefully, one or more of them will be successful.
Okay, I do appreciate that. And thanks again for coming in and for everything that the organization does.
You're welcome.
Those are all the questions, Tony. Thank you so much for the time.
Okay.
Okay, next from the Downtown Kitchener BIA, Linda Yetsey. Welcome.
Good evening, councillors, honorable mayor, and senior staff. My name is Linda Yetsey. I'm the executive director of the Downtown Kitchener BIA. Over the past 5 years, the Downtown Kitchener BIA shifted our priorities to allow for more resources to be allocated to marketing our district and celebrating our diversity through art, music, food, and all things cultural. Cultural events are vital to a downtown's success. They serve as a catalyst for revitalization and a powerful force for building a strong sense of community and belonging. And in Kitchener, we have so many diverse cultures to explore and celebrate. I intentionally created a position for an arts and culture manager and extended my marketing team to include a dedicated resource for social media. We have to tell the story of downtown Kitchener's vibrancy. Sharing daily creates a connection to our district and also adds to the sense of belonging, inclusivity, and safety. A vibrant downtown will serve to attract new businesses and potential investors. The BIA works closely with the special events team and the economic development team. It's fair to say we work together, and we work together well. What I've seen over the past few years is a transformation of a dynamic hub of activity and festivals. But the cost of festivals and events is rising. Our now famous Asian night market that takes place in the East End, encompassing the Kitchener market, is becoming more costly for tents, sound equipment, stages, safety road barriers, and more. This past year, we placed a large tent on the piazza at the Kitchener market at a high rental cost, along with 3 additional stages. Creating family-friendly events that are safe for the public with music, dancing, art, and food requires many rentals at a high cost. If council were to support number 2 in this issue paper, you could be freeing up the thousands of dollars we spend on equipment rentals that could be dedicated to more performances supporting local artists and musicians in this community. Our Asian night market might well be the largest one in Ontario now after we visited other communities, including Ottawa. We had over 12,000 visitors in one day, and that tells us that our community loves cultural experiences. We introduced more cultural events and festivals, including the Mexican Tradition Day of the Dead, live music concerts that were free to the public, the Sunset Sessions for 9 weeks in Vogelsang Green, Bite by Bite, a sold-out celebration of diverse food tastings, and so much more. All our events are intended to make strong connections and grow foot traffic. They require thousands of dollars for rentals, and if purchased and owned, it could divert our budget to more talent and cultural awareness. I am also in support of number 3 of this issue paper. Cities across this country, including downtown Kitchener, have been impacted by the exodus of office workers, since many technology companies and others have embraced a new hybrid model of working from home. This has impacted our downtown with less foot traffic during business hours. Concerned developers have shared with me that renting space on the 2nd floor and higher is challenging. I would also support number 3 of this issue paper to focus on business retention and attraction. This topic is vital to our downtown's health. We miss the people that call downtown their workplace. It would be great to attract them back, as downtown Kitchener has so much to offer employees. Thank you for your time tonight. in summary, I'm in support of these funds being used for special event strategy, business attraction, expansion, and retention. Thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Yessi. There are two people with questions for you, beginning with Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Chair Davey, and thank you so much for coming in tonight with us. It's always great to get an update from you. I'm wondering, you had spoken to your relationship with our Economic Development Department, our special events, and our City of Kitchener staff. I'm wondering how the BIA integrates with the staff and with all the events that we have going on in downtown. We put a lot of money into the events and to bring people to the downtown. How does that message get out then to the businesses? How are they integrating with what is going on and making sure that they're using those opportunities when we have so many people coming here to do their own cross-promotion and bringing people into their businesses?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. We work closely with special events and economic development. We also fund many of the events. My budget has funding for Christkindl Market and for special events team. I have a staff member who's spent the last 2 weeks working hard to be ready to decorate the Christkindl Market. But beyond that, I also have employees that work really hard to visit the members, to make sure they know that the event is happening. They always have a chance to integrate with our festivals and with the city festivals. And as well, they have a chance to take, for example, huts at the Christkindl Market. So we do everything we can to ensure that the businesses are aware of what's going on. And we encourage them to take part by offering special promotions or something fun in their business. And that's where my social media strategist will work with that business to promote that they have a special offering while, for example, the Christkindl Market's going on. And we work closely together.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Do you think that there's an opportunity for us to be able to help more with that?
Through the chair, Councillor Johnston, just can you clarify we, like being city staff, helping more?
Yeah, I don't know if there's an opportunity maybe for us to, I don't know, be helping people with like their social media strategies, or, wow, we're running this a great pickleball event. Why don't you do something around, I don't know. If you've got a restaurant as your Fried Pickle Day, I don't know. I'm just talking about maybe there's some different ways that we could be helping with that promotion.
Through the chair, to answer that question, it's been a pleasure to work with Steve Roth and his team. They've done a magnificent job always reaching out to us, ensuring that we're talking about what's coming up and asking what our businesses need to be part of the event. The BIA doesn't really function to run someone's marketing plan, a business marketing plan, but we've made it really clear that with this extra staff person, we will promote their offering. We'll go in and take photography at our cost, and we'll do everything we can to promote them.
It's good to hear.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Deneau.
Thank you, Chair Davey. Deep fried pickles. I like that. That sounds good. Thanks, Linda, for coming in tonight. I guess my question is, how many businesses are with the BIA, the downtown BIA?
Through the chair, we have close to 600 businesses in our contact list. Most of those are on ground level, a few on the second floor.
Okay. And where, like, is there a boundary of the downtown BIA? Like, do we go, like, what streets do we go to?
Absolutely. Through the chair. Our boundary, actually, it's on our website, and you can look at it. If you go to Downtown Kitchener BIA, there's a boundary map. It pretty much extends from Victoria Street around Communitech, up Charles, down to the Kitchener Market, to Cedar, over to Weber. I'm going really fast. down to Weber, back to Victoria. It's a very large BIA.
So I guess
guess because we've seen an expansion of businesses past Cedar. East Side Annie's is one of them, and there's a few other little places on the other side. Like, have we ever considered expanding that to include some of those other places on the other side of Cedar, to bring more in? And I will tell you, I had spoken with the owner of East Side Annie's, and she indicated that they were not part of BIA, but they wish they were. So there you go, there's a plug for East Side Annie's. But how do we get some of those other businesses in?
Through the chair, to answer your question, and it's a great one, it's absolutely on our 2026 roadmap. I was part of an initial, the last boundary expansion, and our intention is to do a boundary expansion in the East End. To do that, a lot of homework has to be done, and it has to be done very methodically. We really need to put together a pitch because the businesses very much want to be part of the BIA. It's the building owner that has to vote for accepting a new levy.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Benovich.
Thanks. Just really want to thank you and your team for the collaboration with our downtown team and our special events team. I think there's been a lot of great stuff that have happened this past summer. Everything from Set Green to, some I know were led by you, some were led by our team, but always coordination, as you spoke about. So Set Green, the roller skating as an example, the tango dance lessons or whatever. They were and then of course, as you said, the Asian Night Market, the November 2nd, November 4th event, the Day of the Dead, and so many other things. And I think that added to the vitality, as council has talked about earlier today. I think overall we've all been very happy with the opportunities that have existed for people to come downtown, to just continue to figure out ways for the members to take advantage of that.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Councillor Strick.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add my voice of thanks to you hearing residents and businesses call out. You really helped us initiate the downtown safety and security plan, and you were able to organize some events pulling in different business owners and residents in the downtown. So I just wanted to say thank you for taking action and hearing those voices and really being a good collaborator as we, worked with the region and the city and the police and ongoing, even hiring new staff to help collect data. It's just been a really integral piece, and looking at the budget and all of the things that we're prioritizing, some of the things that you've mentioned around events and economic development, those don't work. And if we don't have a safe and secure downtown where people feel like they can come and visit. So I just want to thank you for your work and your team's work in that. And I'm really, really happy to see all the progress that we've made collectively on that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there are no further questions yet, so thank you for coming in and providing feedback. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The final delegation for this evening is Anne Marie Snyder.
Good evening. I was browsing through the budget, not for very long, but there was one item that kind of jumped out at me, and it was the focusing on the future, cultivating a green city together. And the budget said that it was bringing out $1 million for energy efficiency investments in facilities supporting goals of the Corporate Climate Action Plan 2.0. So when I brought up that plan, April 30th, 2024, which was when this was posted, and it stated in section 2.7.3, funding of net zero. It is estimated that $250 million in additional capital funding is needed over the next 25 years, or $10 million a year. For context, a 1% increase to the city's tax rate guarantees $1.6 million in additional revenue. From the budget for this year, the property tax increase rate was 2.20. So I'm asking for a little bit of clarification on where the city is coming up with the money for this plan. And I would like to just read a statement. Climate action plans are voluntary, not mandatory. It is essential to clarify that climate action policies, such as net zero targets and emissions reduction commitments, are not mandated responsibilities under provincial municipal legislation. The Paris Agreement, which serves as a foundation for many climate-related programs, does not impose legally binding obligations on municipalities. Instead, participation in these programs is entirely voluntary, driven by international organizations such as the United Nations, ICLEI, which is the Local Governments for Sustainability, and the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the FCM. So I'm just asking for clarity and where the money's coming from to pay for the program.
Okay, first up, questions. Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Davey, I'm wondering if we can have staff answer that question, please.
Yeah, typically staff don't reply. It's public input.
I know. I was wondering if I could ask the question so that they could answer it.
Yeah, I guess the mayor's anyway, so I guess Councillor Johnson as well.
Thank you.
Is staff prepared to answer the question in terms of, I know the answer is that we haven't funded it yet, but, and if not, that's, again, we don't typically take questions, Mr. Reed.
Through the chair, and so we have been funding specific projects where we can, and so the Cowan Recreation Complex is a net zero facility, and so as we're adding new facilities, we're looking at all options to create them as net zero facilities when they're added. We also have an energy revolving fund, which takes savings from previous projects that we've completed, and so one of those examples is the streetlights, which was a significant funding source for us, and so there's electricity savings from converting all of our streetlights to LED. And we are working on pathway studies for our largest facilities right now. And so while we haven't allocated the full $10 million a year, we're looking at where we can layer on other programs from the provincial or federal government, as well as doing the background studies for facilities like City Hall and our kitchen operations facility and some of our fire stations. They're on our plan right now for our pathways to net zero.
Thank you for that. Did you catch that, Ms. Snyder?
It's a little fuzzy here, but I can listen to it online again.
Okay. Okay. Well, there are no further questions. Thank you so much for coming in and voicing your concerns. Okay, folks, that is those are all the delegations for Public Input Night. So thank you so much for your work today. Appreciate it.